Morning. This is Susan, and I am live in Los Gatos. This was not a planned live stream, but I'm coming in because it's a good opportunity to show you exactly what we're talking about when we talk about public access. So I'm hoping the reception is fine and the sound is fine. I don't have anybody in yet. I don't know if that's a reception problem or a time in the day problem. Hi, Johnny. I'm sorry I didn't text you again. I'm going to do this one and I'm going to do one other. So audio is okay? Great. Okay. So yesterday, Johnny, when we were in Sonoma and I went back and I looked at the live stream, it looked like there was a lot of breaking up at different times. Somehow we got to kind of come up with a signal that you give me so that I see that that's working that way. And so this wasn't a planned access, but a planned live stream, but I just had an access problem, and you guys know that makes me go a little crazy. And so I'm going to show you how we do a workaround at your local city government when it comes to public records. So in my community post this morning, I just posted about how you can get access to information related to financial conflicts of interest in your local government. And this applies to judges in the court. So if you're, hi Real Jingy, nice to see you in here. If this, Joe Black, nice to see you too. I'm kind of watching. Puppy, by the way, was a little sick yesterday, but she's bouncing back. And so she spent more time in the car in Sonoma than she was with me. So anyway, I came down to the town of Los Gatos, but right before I came, I posted in my community section how you can get 700 forms and 460 forms. And if you're in other states, I see what you're saying, Johnny. So I'm going to try to monitor moving this camera and not doing it very much. But when I am out running around and don't expect that I'm going to be recording, sometimes that's an issue for me, and I just have to feel that out a little bit better. So if you want to know, for instance, we started this because we get the 700 forms for judges, and judges hearing your case, if you know if they're invested in something that would be a conflict of interest, that actually allows you to make a disqualification on the judge. You bring it to the judge's attention. You say, Your Honor, you can't hear my case because you own a stock in a company that my spouse runs or is a high-level manager in, or police officers if they're testifying in a criminal case and the police chief has some financial interest. There's a number of reasons why you would want to know financial conflicts of interest. Private judges don't have to disclose their conflicts of interest, and we're going to get to that a little bit later, because you're just an attorney that's private practice. So when we look at Jeff Blum, who was the private judge here that we found not paying his business taxes, he never had to disclose in the course of doing mediations or private judging if he owned interest in anything, if he owned property that might have been a conflict. But when he got appointed to the town's government bodies, he then was subject to what we call a 700 form, which tells your conflicts of interest. Also, if you're looking at your political officials, which judges are political, and so they run for office, but so is your mayor, your town council, and only one. This will be a quiz. I'm not going to tell you because I've said it before, so I'll see how much you're paying attention. There is only one police chief in the entire state of California that runs for office. The sheriffs run, but police chiefs don't typically run. They're appointed by the mayor or by the city council. So therefore, if you want to know about the cronyism or the good old buddy stuff, then you would want to go to the political forms of the people who appoint the police chiefs, because that will tell you where the conflicts are. And, it might be a first degree, it might be a second degree conflict. Most of the time, the courts will say, oh, that's not a conflict. And we all think it's a conflict. We might think it's a really big conflict. Judges are very terrible about disclosing their conflicts of interest and recusing from cases when they should. So the reason that I'm doing this is because right now, with what happened in Minnesota, there is a lot of information about what is misinformation and what is not. And I'm hoping that anybody that's following my work will be critical thinkers and learn to form opinions based on factual information. So I did a live stream that's now for members only, And that is, so if you join, you can watch that. But that was a mistake that was misinformation about Netflix, which is headquarters in Los Gatos, not paying their business taxes. And that got me really riled up. I stayed up all night doing the math on how much money that wasn't paid to the town. Money that could have gone to fix roads, that could have gone to help schools, or that would have done things that we really need in any community. And Netflix being the largest employer, that was a problem. Well, I relied on the information that a third-party contractor doing the work for the town had published. And if I had published that information about Netflix, I would have been susceptible to defamation. I could have been sued for publishing misinformation. Netflix doesn't care who does the information. I have a platform. If I start telling everyone Netflix is not paying their business taxes, just like Jeff Blum wasn't paying his business taxes, Netflix has a lot of money and a lot of lawyers, and they might just come after me and make me go to court. And for those of you who've been in family court that follow me, or in criminal court, you know you don't want to go to court because nothing fair ever happens there. It feels rigged. There's conflicts. There's divorce attorneys doing underhanded things. There's prosecutors withholding evidence. There's public defenders not doing their jobs. And so I'm trying to keep everybody out of court. And one way you stay out of court is you make sure that you check valid information. So I came here today. I wasn't planning to come here today, and I'm going to do another live stream from Los Altos. We're going to Los Altos Police right now because I'm a little hot and bothered about something up there. But somebody sent me an article that a city council member, Roy Moore, had written in the Los Gatos. And if you go back to what I was talking about, Jeff Blum publishing an op-ed, that's an opinion piece, in the Los Gatos after we caught him not paying his business taxes. He tried to blame our reporting and everybody, the videos that were showing you the facts, he tried to blame that. And so with respect to Minnesota, we see a lot of that right now. People are blaming the victim. People are blaming, a woman lost her life, and she was a white woman. She was from Minnesota. I don't know her politics. I don't know who she loved. I do know she had children. I think one article at first came out and said 6 children, and I copied that, and I should have checked that more because she may have only had a son, but she was a widow. Her husband died, and she was a widow. And so this woman obviously had some trauma and some things in her life, and she's dead. That's a fact. She's dead. We've seen the pictures. We've seen the videos. And in a world of AI, that can be an issue. There's more information coming out that she may have been watching federal law enforcement. And if she was doing that, that's similar to what cop watchers do. That's similar to what we do when we watch the courts. And there is always risk in that. So people are becoming more aware of individuals who are either just members of the public or activists or cop watchers or court watchers. And so I'm trying to get you all to realize that reacting because we see something without being fully informed with the information isn't always the best tactic. So I did come here and I acknowledged that I had thought that Netflix wasn't paying their business taxes because of the contractor information. And now I've asked for information about the contractor. So we're going to find out, and we're going to hold that contractor accountable. We're going to get their contract. They're being paid 30% of the money that they receive in catching people not paying their business licenses. And all of you helped me find that on Jeff Blum. We're not getting 30% of whatever he's having to pay. And that's fines, that's back business licenses. And so, Johnny, can you get rid of that Deja, whatever that is, that looks funky, and I don't want that on here. So I came down here today because Rob Moore published an article. He's a city council member. All of you have city council members or town council members. County council members are called supervisors, and that exists in every state. You might have different names for them, but city council is a pretty common name. And so he published an article about how being sued for something he said about a resident was a problem. It caused him a great deal of anxiety, and it was very stressful for him. I can't remember the whole article. I came down here to get a copy of the article because I know the town distributes that newspaper for the predatory publisher, Dan Polcrano, and the Los Gatos. And so I have a problem with government disseminating misinformation, disseminating opinions, and really just acting as a propaganda piece for the local government. So I came down here, and what I'm asking for in records, you can see in my post, I now have access to the 700 forms and the 460 forms. So I'm going to see everybody that donated to Rob Moore's campaigns. I'm going to look for his financial conflicts of interest. I want to know how much stock he owns. I want to know how much property he owns, because the town funded his defense in a litigation, a civil litigation. Now, the town is not funding any of our defense and divorce cases that go on for 10 or 15 years. And Rob Moore was whining, basically, and making a self-serving article about how difficult this was because a political resident who is not popular, she's in the political minority. She's, when I did a records request on her here for the city, it's taken them 4 years to give me the records. So we've been doing all the work to get the documents, and Rob Moore just gets the town taxpayers, I'm one of them, we all paid for his defense. We paid for his legal team. So after I got a copy of that article, I came down here because I thought I would get a copy of it, but I also just went, and here's a workaround. When I came to the town and it was closed, this government is supposed to be open. When I came here earlier this week, there was no notice that it was going to be closed, so I had an expectation it would be open, and I came here. Well, it was closed. A lot of people might have given up, but I happen to know that the police department is open, because these signs were up over the holidays on January 2nd when Camera Joe and I came here, and we just walked right into the police department and did our records request there. So try to remember the obligations that the government has to be open. That's just like law firms are supposed to be open from 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 or whatever normal business hours, which is defined as those hours. And yesterday when we went to Sonoma County, there was an attorney by the name of Laura Dunst who is doing minors counsel work, and she is paid with taxpayer money, and her office closes every day at 4 and all day Friday. Well, that's not normal business hours. So that means a process server can't serve her at her office. Nobody can deliver legal documents at her office. So that's kind of a problem. So just so you know, the financial information that I published this morning on how to get the 700 and the 400 forms, that hasn't always been the case. Years ago, elected officials and public employees didn't have to disclose their financial information. And it was the Sacramento Bee, a newspaper in Sacramento, that started having people get outraged that we didn't know how much people were being paid that were working for the government, because we're paying them. We're paying their salary. We have a right to know how much they're being paid. There's now a nonprofit known as Transparent California that you can go to. You can look up any police officer and find out how much they're being paid on Transparent California. If you live in another state and you have a similar organization, I'd love to hear that, because I'll let everybody know. If you're in XYZ state, if you're in Colorado, Johnny, that'd be a great thing for you to find out. What information is there on the salaries of your public employees? So for those of you who are in other states, try to remember everything that I'm showing you applies. It took the Sacramento Bee pressing for legislation and pressing through their reporting to get us to be able to know that how much everybody makes. Ooh, there was a really pretty hawk that just flew there. So we're the new newspapers. This platform and all the others, that's what this platform is about. It's about journalism. It's about teaching you how I do my work and how you can do the same work in other places where newspapers have folded. So for all of you who come in and support my work, that's what you're supporting. You're supporting us pressuring the government. I've also asked, so this morning I came in and my workaround was to go and make the request at the police department, which I did. I requested all records related to Rob Moore's litigation, and I also requested all emails and communications with him and the media, because he published an article so we know he was talking to them. I want to see if he made comment in email. I want to see if he was texting with the reporters. And if you're a public official and you're doing that, you bet your sweet bippy, I'm going to find it, and I'm going to get your emails, and I'm going to get your text messages, and we're going to find out how much we paid for your litigation so you wouldn't be stressed. Well, nobody is paying for litigation of people who are involved in these divorce cases that are lasting for years. And yesterday I covered divorce cases in Sonoma County, and they were not posting their private judge list, and they are secreting their minors counsel panel list. Now, remember, minors counsel are those attorneys that are court appointed to represent children in their parents' divorce case. Nobody pays the parents' attorneys' fees, but we as taxpayers are paying for children to have an attorney when their parents are getting divorced. So I'm trying to show you guys where the money is going. When you hit those potholes in the road and you need a new alignment in your car, I'm going to show you why we didn't have money for the roads. When our food costs or our gas costs are high, don't just complain about it. Let's start looking where the money is being wasted. And we have to look at a local level. So I hope that is helpful. I hope that shows you the overlap between my work covering the courts, local government, and police. And I'm going to keep showing you, I'm going to keep showing my work so that you guys know how to do it. I can't tell all your stories. There's too many injustices out there. There's too much corruption, and there's too many wrongdoers in the legal profession and in government. And if everybody will start doing this in their local community and holding town officials accountable, then that is going to change. We're going to clean it up. And so that's the only way we're ever going to get it done. I can't do anything about what's going on in Washington, but I can do something right here. And so that's what we're going to keep showing you. So thanks for coming in. That was a little more than 16 minutes. I'm off to Los Altos. Johnny, I am going to do one more live stream. I have the gals recording with me today, and we are going to go and get some information on the police chiefs in Los Altos, and we're going to kick some you-know-what. And I want to remind everybody that I have rules on this platform. If you come in and make the comments, no personal attacks. We're not getting political. I don't know if Rob Moore is a Democrat or a Republican. I just know that I paid for his litigation for something that he did that was speech related. And I don't want to pay for Rob Moore's speech. I don't want to pay for him to not be stressed out for getting sued, because nobody's paying for everybody that's down at those family courthouses where Jeff Blum was acting as a private judge and not paying his business. And that's where you'll see me crop up next today, is in Los Altos. So thanks everyone. Keep watching, because I'm going to be pumping out videos this weekend. We spent a lot of time in Sonoma County yesterday.